a quiet night janitor, a girl who collapses in silence, and a necklace that shatters the past wide open. When single dad Theo rushes to help a mysterious girl at the hospital, he doesn't expect her to carry a pendant linked to the one person he lost years ago, and never stopped loving. What follows is a story of memory, second chances, and the quiet power of staying when others walk away. Stay with us for a story that unfolds like a melody long forgotten, and finally remembered. Now let's begin. The hallway outside pediatric ICU smelled of antiseptic and old grief. Theo Branson, mop in hand, moved like a shadow. Nights were quieter, kinder. He preferred them. No questions, no pity, just floors and his thoughts. Then came the scream. Cheeky. And then the thud. A girl, no older than 18, collapsed outside the ER doors. Her head hit the tile hard. Theo didn't think. He dropped the mop and ran. Hey! Hey, can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered, skin pale like moonlight. He wrapped his jacket around her. Cold. Too cold. Her necklace, half buried in her sweater, shimmered, a locket shaped like a sunburst. Theo froze. He knew that piece. He had the other half. Somewhere in his drawer. Somewhere with dust and old promises. The triage nurse rushed over, then paramedics. Vitals are dropping. She's in shock. Theo stepped back but not far. He couldn't. She was carried in, her head lolling, but that necklace, it anchored him. A memory rose uninvited. A summer field, music on a car radio, and a girl with copper hair laughing, holding a sketchbook and the other half of that same pendant. Her name had been Ren Alden. And she disappeared without a goodbye. Theo watched the glass doors close. His hand shook. That girl couldn't be Ren. But the pendant was hers. He reached into his pocket. No longer dusty, but warm against his chest. A sun. Hers had been the moon. A match made as kids, torn by something crueler than time. Later that night, Theo wandered the staff courtyard, unable to scrub the image of her face. The resemblance was haunting. The nurse had said, "We don't have a name yet. No ID on her." But the necklace spoke louder than any name tag. In his janitor's locker, buried under oil-stained gloves and old work orders, Theo found the photo. A grainy print from 2007. Him and Ren, both 19, faces sunburned, eyes wild with plans. He flipped it over. Her handwriting. "Promise me the world can't change us." But the world did. Ren left town with her father, a senator with power and secrets. Theo never heard from her again. He waited for years. Now, 17 years later, her face returned to him through hospital glass and a sun-shaped locket. The next morning the girl was gone. Discharged, the nurse said. VIP status. A driver came. Theo's chest caved. He hadn't even asked her name. But someone had. And they had money, power, and silence wrapped in professionalism. That meant one thing: Alden money. He knew how it moved. Quiet. Ruthless. He couldn't let this vanish. Not again. Not if she was connected to Ren. At the reception desk he asked, "The girl who collapsed, can I leave something in her file?" The nurse frowned. "Are you family?" "I was," he said quietly. "A long time ago." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. Theo placed a copy of the photo inside an envelope, tucked the pendant half inside, and wrote one word across the front. Ren. Across town, in the back of a black town car, she clutched her head. Her name wasn't Ren anymore. Not publicly. She went by Arden Vale now. Her mother's maiden name, newly reclaimed. Arden touched her neck. The pendant was missing. Her lips trembled. "Stop the car," she said. The driver blinked. "Ma'am. Stop. Now." Tires screeched beside a park. She stumbled out, breath ragged. The world swam around her. Too loud. Too bright. She didn't know why she'd collapsed. Or why the hospital hallway had felt so familiar. Or why the man who held her had felt like warmth from a forgotten fire. But the missing necklace. That's what undid her. Her hands trembled as they touched her collarbone. "I've lost something," she whispered. "Something that belonged to someone who once saved me." That night, Theo stood in the hospital chapel again, staring at the stained glass window. The sun from the design spilled colors onto the empty pews. He held her half of the pendant in one hand, his own in the other. When they clicked together, a soft click echoed. A fit too perfect to be forgotten. He whispered her name, Ren, and the air answered with silence. 17 years, and he still didn't know why she left. Why she vanished. No letters. No calls. Just emptiness. Leia, his daughter, had once asked him if ghosts were real. He said no, but sometimes people vanish like ghosts. And now one had returned. He placed the reunited pendant pieces in an envelope again. This time he wrote no name. Just, "For the one who remembers." Then he left it at the nurse's desk. "In case she comes back," he said. 3 days passed. No word. No return. But then, a quiet knock on the janitor's break room door. Theo looked up, startled. Arden stood there, dressed in gray, sunglasses tucked into her jacket. Her voice was softer than he remembered. "I was told someone left something for me." He nodded, wordless, and handed her the envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Pendant. Photo. Her breath caught. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. Theo stepped forward slowly. "From the girl I once promised forever. The one who left without a trace." She blinked hard. "You knew her." "I loved her," he said. A pause stretched between them like a bridge just rebuilt. "She was me," Arden finally whispered. "But I don't know how to be her anymore." They sat on the hospital rooftop, old chairs squeaking under the weight of silence. Theo offered her his jacket again. This time she didn't resist. "I remember music," she said. "That summer. You played guitar by the water tower." He smiled. "You drew the sky over and over. Said the clouds made better stories than people." Arden looked down. "My father said you'd ruin my future. He was wrong. He sent me away. Boarding school. Changed my name. I thought if I forgot you, it would hurt less." Theo exhaled slowly. "Did it?" She shook her head. "It just made the world quieter." They sat like that for a long while. And then she said something that cracked the night open. "You have a daughter?" He nodded. "Leia. She's 12. Smart. Brave." Arden smiled faintly. "She has your eyes." That weekend Leia came to work with Theo. Hospital staff adored her. She had a way of making silence soft, not sad. She drew stars on patient charts, sang to broken vending machines, and offered advice to nurses like a tiny oracle. Arden watched from the hallway. She'd come back. Not as Ren, not yet, but as something in between. Leia spotted her, and without fear walked up. "You're the lady who fell, huh?" Arden nodded. "Are you okay now?" "Getting there." Leia held up her notepad. "I draw dreams. Want one?" Arden knelt. "What kind of dreams?" "Ones people forget until someone reminds them." Arden took the paper. A sketch of 3 figures. A girl with wild hair, a man holding a mop, and a woman with a heart necklace. "That one's you," Leia whispered. Arden blinked. "I didn't know I still looked like hope." Later that afternoon, Theo found Arden in the piano wing, the old one barely used. She sat quietly beside the bench, running her fingers along the faded keys. "Do you remember this?" he asked. "No," she said. "But my hands do." She played a soft, broken tune. Something he hadn't heard in 17 years. "That was your lullaby," he whispered. "You wrote it when your mother passed." Her fingers froze. "I haven't heard that name in years." "You haven't needed to," he said gently. "You became someone else to survive." She looked at him. "And you?" "I stayed. Cleaned floors. Raised a girl. Waited for something that felt like a promise." A long silence. Then she said, "I didn't think anyone would wait for me." "You weren't just anyone," Theo replied. "You were the sound that never left." The next morning, Arden returned to the hospital without her driver, without her polished sunglasses, and without her silence. She wore a simple coat and carried a bag of homemade muffins, awkwardly held. "I don't bake," she admitted, handing them to Theo. "But I needed to do something with my hands." He smiled. "You still draw?" She shook her head. "Not since I left. Felt like a betrayal. Every time I picked up a pencil, I saw you." Theo handed her a napkin. "Maybe it's time you forgive the girl who ran." Arden lowered her gaze. "What if I don't know how to be her anymore?" Theo met her eyes. "Then let her grow. You're not her shadow, Arden. You're her second chance." The hallway around them bustled with routine, but between them time slowed. She looked down at the sketch Leia had given her. "Maybe I want to start remembering." That evening, they sat in the courtyard under the dim yellow glow of old hospital lamps. Leia skipped stones in the koi pond, humming. Theo and Arden sat beside each other, silent but not uncomfortable. She turned to him. "I didn't just disappear. I was erased. My father told me you left. That you enlisted to get away." Theo blinked. "I applied to art school. They rejected my scholarship out of nowhere. My letters came back unopened." Arden's breath caught. "He said you stopped writing. He said I had to grow up." Her voice cracked. "He made me believe love was weakness." Theo shook his head. "Love isn't weak. It's the reason I'm still here." She reached for his hand slowly. Her fingers trembled. I want to find my way back. But I'm scared I've changed too much." He squeezed gently. "Good. That means you survived." Sunday afternoon, Theo took her to the old storage shed behind the hospital. Inside, dusty sheet music lay atop an abandoned upright piano. He brushed it off. "I stored it here the day you left. Couldn't bear to toss it." Arden touched the keys. "This was ours." "Yeah. We used to play duets. You'd scold me for being offbeat." She smiled faintly. "You always sped up when you got nervous." He chuckled. "Still do." She sat, hesitated, then began to play. Hesitant notes, fragile but full of memory. Theo sat beside her. Their hands moved without needing permission. The sound was broken and imperfect but beautiful. When the final note lingered, she whispered, "I was so young when I left. But I think part of me never left this room." He nodded. "That part is still here. And so am I." Monday came with a storm. Gray skies, cold rain, and the kind of chill that made everything feel heavier. Theo was mopping the surgical wing when a security guard called him to the lobby. "You have a visitor," he said, confused. Standing near the vending machine was Charles Alden. Senator Alden, Wren's father. His voice was like steel. "Let's talk man to man." Theo crossed his arms. "You lost the right to speak for her a long time ago." Charles's face tightened. I protected her. You were a distraction. Theo's jaw clenched. You destroyed her. She stopped drawing. Stopped playing music. That wasn't protection. Charles stepped closer. I'm here to make sure she doesn't throw her life away. Whatever this is between you, it won't last. Theo met his gaze. You're wrong. Because this time she's choosing. And she's choosing herself. Not your legacy. Not your lies. Just her truth. That night, Theo told Arden about the confrontation. She didn't flinch. He always thought silence was strength. That control made him a good father. Her voice was steady. But I'm tired of being managed. Theo looked at her. Then what do you want? She stepped closer, barefoot on the rec room tiles, her voice barely above a whisper. I want to remember who I was before I became a last name. I want to feel real again. Even if it's messy. Even if it hurts. Theo reached for her hand. Then let's get messy. Let's remember it all. Not just what was good. But what was worth surviving for. She leaned into him, forehead resting against his chest. And for the first time in years Arden felt like someone worth fighting for. Not just by him. But by herself too. The hospital's conservatory wing hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. But that morning it streamed in golden, catching Arden's hair as she played. Leia sat cross-legged nearby, sketching softly. Theo leaned in the doorway, arms crossed, watching the two girls who had somehow cracked his world back open. Arden finished the melody and looked up. You remember this one? Theo nodded. You wrote it after your mom passed. Called it Sky Without Her. Her voice trembled. I never played it again. Until now. She stood, walked to Leia and knelt. Can I see? Leia held up the drawing. A house, a piano, 3 figures smiling. This is us, she said simply. Arden blinked. What color's the sky? Lavender, Leia whispered. Because sometimes when things are sad and beautiful at the same time, the sky forgets what it's supposed to be. Arden's voice caught. You're wise for 12. Leia shrugged. I had good teachers. Theo unlocked the attic of their modest house later that day. It smelled of dust, wood, and years he'd packed away. What's in here? Arden asked. A promise, he said. They climbed together. In the corner, an old suitcase sat wrapped in rope. He unlatched it, revealing sketchbooks, dried flowers, postcards never sent, and one yellowed letter addressed to Ren. Arden opened it. Her breath caught. You wrote this the week I left. Theo nodded. I wrote one every week for a year. Then stopped. But I never threw them away. She sank to the floor, tears slipping quietly. He told me you forgot me. He made me believe no one ever stays. Theo knelt beside her. I didn't leave, Ren. I was just waiting. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder. Then let me stay this time. He didn't speak. He just held her finally. When Ren entered the courtroom 3 weeks later, everything about her had changed. No sunglasses. No assistant. No father looming over her. She spoke clearly, naming the manipulation, the sealed letters, the pressure that buried her past. Theo sat behind her, Leia beside him. The courtroom grew silent as she said, I lost years because I believed silence kept me safe. But it didn't. Just made me invisible. I choose truth now. I choose the girl I used to be. And the man who never let her disappear. Her father didn't speak. His power wasn't welcome here anymore. The judge's ruling came swift. She was granted legal separation from her father's conservatorship and complete access to her inheritance. But none of it mattered as much as when she turned and walked straight into Theo's arms. "We're free," she whispered. "No," he corrected. "We're finally home." The new community center wasn't built with marble or glass. It was built with piano benches, old sketchbooks, and a swing Theo fixed with Leia one Saturday afternoon. On opening day, Arden wore a pale green dress and no makeup. "You nervous?" Theo asked, fixing her name tag. "Terrified," she whispered. "But also peaceful." He took her hand. "You don't owe anyone perfection. Just your presence." Leia tugged Arden's arm. "You're giving a speech, right?" Arden blinked. "I thought I wasn't." "Too late," Leia grinned. Arden stood in front of the microphone, voice shaking but honest. "This isn't about me. Or my father. Or names that take up too much space. It's about second chances. For people. For places. For hearts that forgot how to beat out loud." The crowd clapped. Theo smiled. And Leia whispered to a stranger. "She used to be a whisper. Now she's thunder." That night, under a sky swollen with stars, Theo stood beside the old upright piano in the center's recital room. Arden approached quietly, barefoot, hair loose. She carried something small. "I thought you should have this." She placed the reunited pendant in his palm. "We made it back," she said. Theo looked at it, then at her. "No," he said gently, placing it around her neck. "You came back to yourself. I just stood still long enough for you to arrive." She laughed softly, leaning into him. Leia appeared behind them with 2 cups of cocoa and a blanket. "Time for stargazing," she declared. The 3 of them sat on the center steps, cocoa warming their hands, silence wrapping around them like home. For the first time in decades, the girl who once collapsed alone didn't feel like a memory. She felt like music still rising. If this story touched something deep in you, let it stay. Because sometimes what breaks us is what brings us back to life. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city in the comments. And if you believe in second chances, in kindness that lingers, and love that waits quietly through time, like this video, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss another story like this one. Till next time. Stay gentle, stay brave. And remember, even forgotten songs can find their melody again.